Yo, we here now, vision's clear now. Yo, it's my time, no fear now. You can feel it when the crowd starts to cheer now. We here now, vision's clear now. Yo, it's my time, and it's near now. And I'm too strong, no fear now. You can feel it when the crowd starts to cheer now.
Our next guest will meet Daniel Cormier for the light heavyweight title on Saturday night at UFC 214. Coverage starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on FXX. John Jones, welcome to Undisputed.
Hey guys, good to be here.
Morning.
Thank you.
So Saturday will be your first fight in about 15 months. How has the long layoff affected you?
I think it's been great for me. It's given me time to just kind of reevaluate myself, my personal life, and my career. You know, I've been able to add things to my game that I didn't have before. And I feel totally rejuvenated and just ready to go.
You and DC clearly do not like each other. How does this dislike impact the way you're going to fight in the ring?
I don't think it'll impact my fighting at all. So I've been fighting for 10 years now, 10 years undefeated. And I've fought all different types of athletes, people that I despise and people that I respect tremendously. And it's always been the same outcome. And I believe it'll be the same this time.
How dependent is this fight on your legacy? As you mentioned, you've lost one fight, but it was disqualification, and you were universally regarded as the best pound-for-pound fighter. There was a chance, I mean, it still might be a chance that you're going to go down as the greatest UFC fighter of all time, but in your absence, there's another guy that came into his favorite guy. How does this fight impact your legacy?
Well, I believe that I'm already the greatest fighter of all time. You know, my record speaks for itself. I've beaten 6 Hall of Famers already, and my resume is uncomparable to anybody in our sport. But this fight, it's huge for my legacy. Every fight's huge for my legacy. My legacy is an accumulation of you know,
The years.
of what I do. Yeah. So every fight is extremely important. And you know, I try not to look at one fight as more important than another one. You know, it's just another match. And you just have to focus on what you can do in the ring, in training to prepare for that match. And I try not to make things bigger than what it is.
So I watched on Saturday night, the joint satellite interview you did with Cormier on Fox.
Yeah.
Got a little testy, a little heated, but just watching your body language, it didn't come across that you, quote unquote, hate him. It's that you have disdain for him. Like there might even be a lack of respect somewhere operating in there. Is that fair? Give me your thoughts, sort of your feelings about him.
That's fair to say. So my body language in that last interview was, I would say it was like very like stoic, and like I tried to make a conscious effort to not really engage with him, because Daniel's a guy who just wants to just nitpick things that have nothing to do with fighting, you know. And at this point, 1 week away from the fight, you know, you can talk about my past and some of the controversial things I've been a part of, but it plays no effect on what's going to happen on Saturday night, and I know that. So it's just like I'm not going to sit here and back and forth. Oh, you're a punk. Oh no, you're a punk. I just turned 30 years old. You know, I'm a grown man, and the fight's all that really matters. So I have not too much to say to him at this point. I'm going to do all my speaking in the octagon.
He did make one strategic declaration that in the stand-up this time, he's going to, quote unquote, run right through you with his fists, obviously, and that you better be grabbing and holding quickly this time. Your reaction to that strategic statement?
I'm glad to hear him say that. I'm glad that he feels so confident on the feet. My last fight against Ovince St. Prude, a lot of people said it wasn't very impressive after a year layoff. But I did enough to win the fight, and I felt like I really didn't show much. Where I've been extremely active, and I see that he has made almost zero progression in the last 2 years. So I'm glad that he feels he has an upper hand in the striking division.
He also stated that even though you did beat him the one time you met, that then you, to quote him, self-destructed because of the controversies, quote unquote, off the field, and that he goes to bed every night feeling that he is the champion. He feels very good about that. What does that tell you about his psyche?
Well, I feel like he validated everything I was trying to say. I was telling him that he's not a real champion because he hasn't beaten me. Um, and he said, well, I don't have to be a champion because you pretty much gave me the belt by getting in trouble. And he just validated what I had to say. It's like, I'm saying that you're not a champion because you haven't beat me. And you basically say, yeah, you know, I never beat you, but it's still mine. It's like, yeah, you know, the people at home knows. Um, people at home knows, you know, who the real guy is in this division. And I think Daniel looks for ways around trying to, you know, I just think he looks for ways to try to validate himself as a champion. And I think to the true fight fans, they know, you know, whether John is a, you know, an angel or a bad guy or whatever, he's a badass. And until you beat him, I mean, no one, I believe, would really look at him as the baddest dude of this era.
So I'm looking at you, and I'm as an ex-professional athlete. There's no way I believe I could have taken a year off from the NFL and come back and been the same player that I was. You took a year off. I mean, Usain Bolt is the fastest sprinter, but he can't take a year off and come back and pick right up where he left off. Why do you think you're going to be able to do that again?
Well, I've done it once before. My last fight, I took a year off. This, it's one fight in 2 years. But I think the reason why I know I'm going to win this, the reason why I know I'm going to win this fight is because I have an inner belief that this is my era and this is what I was put on the earth to do. I feel like that I'm gifted,
Right.
And talented and extremely hardworking. But to answer your question, it really just stems from a really deep level of self-belief.
Your brother's Arthur Jones played. He's trying to get picked up. I think he played, 8, 9 years. Your brother Chandler Jones is the pass rushing specialist from the Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, physical contact is not something you shy away from. Why didn't you stick with football?
So I was really, really skinny in high school. I weighed about 170. I was 6'4", and I was a defensive tackle. There was no coaches that were interested in me. I actually didn't even start on the football field until my senior year in high school. I was always third string while my brothers were always team captains.
Right.
I had a wrestling coach, a guy named Jack Stanbro. He told me young, around 10th grade, he said, John, you're not going to be a football player. And he said, I need you to listen to me, dedicate your life to the sport of wrestling, pass your classes, and I can guarantee you I'll get you into college. And that meant everything to me. And I didn't want to be left behind. I knew my brothers were going to make it in the football arena. So I put on the wrestling singlet and became all about it. And now it's led me to a martial arts career.
So there's an upcoming event on August 26th that halfway involves the UFC, McGregor versus Mayweather. I'm sure you have thoughts and insight. You're a bright man.
Thank you.
Break down what you see coming up on August 26th. What chance do you give Conor McGregor?
You know, I want to start by saying that I really admire Conor McGregor a lot. He's done so much for our sport. He's shown me personally that those numbers that he's achieving are possible. So he's been a huge inspiration to me.
Oh, there's a but coming.
But yeah, absolutely. I'm also a fan of greatness, and Floyd Mayweather is unquestionably great. I mean, to go 49-0 is such a special.
Great. 49-0. You heard the man.
It's such a special thing.
He used to be. Yeah.
It used to be.
He's 40.
He's
Well, go
40,
ahead.
but I think Floyd takes care of himself. You know, he's an advocate about living a clean life, and you'd be surprised what you can get out of yourself when you live the way Floyd does. He has all the resources to stay healthy and on top of his game. I think what makes this fight interesting is Conor McGregor's punching power, but at the same time, guys like Miguel Cotto and De La Hoya, all these guys have tremendous punching power. But what they have that McGregor doesn't is the years of experience and tightness and to back up that punching power. So many guys in the UFC who has punching power who are never able to land that shot on me. And like I said, I'm really happy for McGregor to be in this position. But if I were a betting man, I would imagine that you have to just side on the side of greatness.
Have you think, obviously you've been light heavyweight champion for the longest time. Have you thought about moving up or down to get 2 belts? I mean, obviously up would be probably more of a probability and likelihood than moving down.
Right. So unfortunately, at my weight class, I deal with the biggest gap in between weight classes, where you'll see a guy like McGregor who, he's a 45-pound champion and a 55-pound champion.
Right.
For me, I would have to be the 205-pound champion facing the 265-pound champion.
Right.
And I believe, when you get a really talented big man versus a really talented smaller man,
Big man. Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do believe that I'm a special talent and that it's possible. But I know that it would have to be against the right opponent.
right.
And so right now, I feel like I have things to prove in my own division.
Right.
When I feel that I have a good matchup against a talented, smaller heavyweight champion,
Right.
then I'll seize the moment.
Well, we're looking forward to your return. Coverage of UFC 214 starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Time Saturday night
This
on
is the
FXX.
baddest man on the planet, Skip. Not
John.
145.
Thanks for joining
Not
us.
I
155.
can't fist bump that. I'm sorry. I can't.
Oh, you think Conor McGregor
luck.
can take him?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
There's a little size discrepancy, just a little